Okay, so we're here with the Honda Jet at Marina di Campo on the island of Elba, and we're going to fly to Cannes Mandelieu Lima Fox Mike Delta. It's the route that you know. It's only about 150 miles, so it's a very, very quick flight. Just a quick look at the outside of the aircraft, because it really, I mean, it's a very unusual shape, but actually it's quite sleek and quite lovely in many ways. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. What's interesting, you get features like this. You get this GPU, ground power unit. So when you're in the aircraft and you've got the parking brake on here, you'll see the external power unit, the ground power unit, and that will be on and made available to you. So if you put the batteries on now,
oral warning. Okay.
After all the oral warning, you see the ground power is available. Click that to on and go back to the external view. You can actually hear it. I think you can hear it. Maybe you can't. Who knows? But you know, it's an interesting looking jet. Nice winglets, and a lot of the outside functions work. So let's go here to this second multifunction screen. Go to sim options, sim actions, and do main door, cargo door, front door, and static elements. That would be like engine covers and stuff like that. So if we get outside now, the doors will be open, including a massive cargo hold at the back. And it's massive because, of course, the engines are not mounted on the rear fuselage, they're mounted on the wings. So all the space here is available for hold. So yeah, it's said to be very big. You've got the front door, which is you know, it's lovely. They say it gives it ramp presence. So as you approach it on the apron, you walk up to it. It's got this proper air stair with, you know, steps on it, and it sort of makes it look big rather than the Mustang, which is, you know, has a teeny little ladder sort of thing. But anyway, you know, each to their own. It's a bigger aircraft, 2 times 2,000 pounds of thrust. So that's 4,000 pounds of thrust. The little Mustang has got 1,400 each side, so 2,800 in total. So this has got a lot more thrust. It can take up to 7 passengers, but the way this model is configured, it has 6 passengers and a crew member up front. So anyway, let's get going. We're going to just close the door, close the cargo door at the back, and close the front cargo door, which you'll see it closing now there. Okay, and what you do is you go to the main screen on this. You go to aircraft systems, no, to sim options, load manager. Then you go to, you decide how many people you want on board. So we've got a little bit of baggage in the front. This might be a bit too much. There we go. And you can click the baggage in the hold and whichever people you want. Showing, let's go for that person, that person, and that person. There we go. Okay. And we want about 680 kilos of fuel. We've got 450. So let's just click this a couple of times. 500. 540, 590, 640, 680. There we go. Perfect. Sim actions we've done. The manual you can get to from here. You just scan that in and it takes you to the manual. Go to initialization, and the first thing that happens is that you do the system test. Now this is true to the real jet. You click here and then you do pre-flight, and now the aircraft runs through all its self-checks. You can see all the lights flashing. I click the button here. You can see it's a nicely customized screen. There's the stick shaker. Look at this. When the aircraft is in a dangerous attitude, maybe stalling, the stick actually shakes and it sort of wakes you up and says, oi, 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 we're in trouble here. So it does all its self checks, and they're all done at the moment, so that's all good. I've got to just remind myself, sim actions, go to initialization, weight and fuel. Okay, so there's the weight and fuel. And all you do, because we've set the number of passengers, we just do click from sim. Okay, then we do payload, get from sim, 2 passengers, fuel, get from sim. That's £1,500. We've put 680 kilos in, so that's about right. And then we go to takeoff and get from sim. I think that's correct anyway. Then we click on the next, and then we do all on, get from sim, all on. There we go. So these are the V speeds here: 107, 113, 120, and they're shown here. Fantastic. Okay, another good feature is if we go to the home page and then go to the checklist, you'll get the checklist showing here and here. Okay, and that is very easy to use. You've got the different phases of flight, so you've got the setup, the before starting engines before taxi, and all you do is you use this button here to scroll through the checklist and to click all the items like that. Okay, so checklists are all built in. I'm having trouble clicking that one there, not quite sure why. There we go, maybe I wasn't clicking it properly. Okay, so that's the checklist. Let's go back and we'll go to aircraft systems and status page. And you can change things like the environment, the temperature. You can see this, the displays. These are called synaptic displays, electrical synaptic display, fuel, and so on and so forth. So if we go to status page, another very clever feature is that you'll see the lights are all automatic. So at the moment we're on the ramp, we're in the aircraft, our passengers in the aircraft, the nav light is on. That is correct. When we start the engines, the beacon light will automatically start. Okay, so you haven't got to worry about the lighting, but you can set them manually if you so want, and you do that through this menu here. Okay, so we'll keep the status page on. That's a nice one to have, I think. This is highly customized. We'll click the last key here to go into the menu. Not only has it got the weather radar, which you've seen before, but it's got a highly customized engine instrumentation, which works beautifully. Traffic is shown, weather radar, as I said, and let's put the flight plan in anyway. So we do that on the left touch screen. Click flight plan, add origin, which you know by now is Lima India Romeo Juliet Marina di Campo. Press enter. We'll do the destination, which is Lima Foxtrot Mike Delta. We'll do enter, Mondelieu. Okay, now I'm just going to get Navigraph in for a second just to remind you of the route. Okay, and I'm going to do that by just going here. So it's direct to Mercer, Capco, then the airway UL127 to Sodri, and then the Sodri to Victor coming in for the RNAV A approach. Okay, so I'm going to just put that off screen. I'll be able to read it, but you'll see how I enter it. It's very good, very easy. En route waypoint. And now we type in Mercer. M-I-R, M-I-R-S-A. Then you do a star. Then you type in the next one. No, sorry, you type in the airway. It's Mercer A3, Alpha 3, then you do a star, then it's to Capco, C-A-P, oops, do that again, C-A-P-C-O, Capco, then we do star again, and it says there's an airway. Is that correct? Yes. So after Capco we do the Uniform Lima 127, L1227 star. Got to wait for it to finish working. Then we do Sodri, S-O, oops, let's do that again. I've really got a handle on this, haven't I? S-O-D-R-I. Okay, and then we press enter, and it says there's another airway starting at Capco, there's the airway code, and it exits at Sodri. Is that correct? Yes, it is. Lovely, sorted. Now we want to do some procedures, okay, because we want to do an instrument approach into CUN. So we do procedure, we do an arrival, which is the Sodri to Victor. So let's scroll down the list. You've got to drag it down with this aircraft. Drag this little thing down. Sodri, there it is. No, that's the wrong one. Sodri to Victor, there we go. And it takes us to a place called In Love, which is perfect. We load that. Okay, then we go back, and then we want to do an approach. And the approach we want to do is the, I think it was the Arnav Zulu we did. Yeah, Arnav Zulu from In Love, and we do load. Okay, and that's literally it. We've got the flight plan all loaded in now. Okay, there it is. Lovely. Okay, just struggling a bit to scroll up and down. Okay, let's get a squawk code on. So 7000 we want to, I'll put my code to 2526, enter, and then we want to do altitude reporting. There we go. So we've got a squawk on. Lovely. All right, now we want to set the nav display, and we want to go on the magenta as always. So we just click the button below active navigation, which is here, until we get to FMS. There's the magenta. We're going to take off from runway, heavens, I can't quite remember what the runway is at it's runway 16. There we go, 16, just looked it up. So we're just going to move the heading knob to runway 16. So we're just going to go all the way around. I can just use the mouse to go quite quickly then. Maybe not quite so quickly, but one good thing is that definitely the altitude knob is quicker on this than it is on the Mustang. So 160 dialed in. There we go, 160. Let's get the altitude. So we want to fly at 24,000, flight level 240. So we just hold the button and you can see it's much quicker. There we go. Notice that the V speeds are shown on the speed tape. V1 107, V rotate 113, V2 120. Okay, and we want flight level 240, that'll be plenty high enough. Okay, so we're all good there. I think we're in a position now to start the engines. What we need to do though, first of all, is to go to the home page here, go to aircraft systems, system controls, and lighting. So if you wanted to do the lights manually, you can do them here. Taxi, landing, recognition, nice, so on and so forth. If you want to do the interior lights, they're done here. So we want to do fasten seat belts, no smoking. Okay, that's sorted. And you can do the temperature, the thermostat here, and the lighting config. I'm not quite sure what that is there, but anyway, let's go back to the home page there. Okay, and we can start the engines, and the engines are dead easy. You just click the two start buttons here, and you just move the throttles forward into their idle position, and that is it. So let's do number 2 first. Okay, and because we're starting the engine, the beacon light should now be on. Well, it will be on, I'm sure they'll get that right. Anyway, it's now starting, so N2 is at 30. Let's bring that up a bit. There we go. There, beacon light's on now. Okay, so now the engine's spooling up. So it's a very accomplished product. You have to say that it's better than the Mustang in many, many ways. Everything is clickable, everything works. And it's very nicely finished inside, so it is a pretty good aircraft. I'm going to press B to get the barometric pressure, which is 1021. We've got a good start on number 2. I'm going to press number 1 now, start number 1, and we see it spooling up. There's the N2, oil pressure's rising. We've got to 20, put the fuel on, there we go. Oops. And looks like a good start on number 1 as well. Lovely. Okay. Same rules, we climb on flight level change, FLC, filch mode. Okay, so we climb on airspeed, and we'll do the same thing, 170. I think that's a good number. Probably isn't the right number, but heck, that's fine. Autopilot here, yaw damper here, heading mode here, nav mode here. Okay, so we're all good. Let's get one stage of flap down, one stage of flap. Okay, and just one thing, it has got a takeoff config, so when you press your throttles forward, it tells you whether or not you're in a good, you've set up the aircraft correctly for takeoff. One thing I can see that isn't correct is the pitch trim. So at the moment it's got a little green line just here, I don't know if you can see it, and we got to move these two little arrows so they marry up with that green thing, and they actually go green when you've done it. So if I just put my trim forward a bit, no, wrong way, let's go the other way, let's bring the trim back a bit. They should go green, those arrows. There we go, green. So I think we're good now. And what I'm going to do is put the parking brake off. I'll take the external power is already off. This amber light here is cabin power. I'll put that on so the people in the back can charge their iPhones. And we'll start taxiing. I'm going to taxi off to the right. Okay. And the visibility is a bit reduced in this, but it's not really made for sightseeing, to be honest. So let's take the parking brake off, give it a bit of power, and turn to the right. There we go. So it's the usual thing, we're going to taxi onto the runway and backtrack. Okay. Very, very quiet, this aircraft. You can barely hear the engines, and that again is true to life, because the engines are mounted on the pylons on the wings, and you don't get a lot of noise in the cabin, so that's fairly true. So it's going to taxi onto the runway, clear right, clear to the left. Okay, and we're not going to put the landing lights on or the strobe light. It will do that for us. So just watch this. So taxi light is already on because we're taxiing, and in a second watch the landing light and the strobe light will come on. Not quite sure. Oh, there you go, landing light is on and the strobe light is on. It's just pretty good, really, isn't it? So okay, we'll just taxi to the end. Yeah, they're good, aren't they, in Italy? They drive everywhere they want. Goodness me. Glad I don't do that. Nut. So let's get to the end of the runway. Use every available inch of runway. This is very powerful. It's lightly loaded, so it'd be more than enough. But there's nothing worse, nothing more useless than runway behind you. So a bit of right engine here, just to use a bit of differential thrust. Keep that turn going. There we go. Okay, and the last thing to do is we'll get the timers running. So I'm going to come to a stop. Okay, and the timers, I believe you get them on this one here. So you go to home, or maybe that is home, utilities, timer, and then you do start. There we go. No, I've stopped it. There we go, start. Okay, back to home. Okay, so if it squawks at me, it's because I've got the configuration wrong. But let's have a look. So, spool the engines up, brakes are off, and one good thing about this is that the FADEC works. So you just bring the throttles all the way to the stop, and you'll see here it says takeoff. Okay, so we've got 80 knots, and you see the markers on the speed tape here. Rotate, there we go, round we go. Nice gentle takeoff. Positive rate of climb, 15 degrees nose up, gear coming up. And we're going to get the nose down just a fraction, let the speed build. Right, so we're 10 knots past our V2 speed, so flaps can come up. Okay, ooh, it's quite bouncy today. Right, so let's get the autopilot on. Autopilot, heading mode, yaw damper, flight level change. Okay, so, and flight level change, we need to dial it up a little bit to about 170, 165, we've got 178, 170. Okay, so it should start to settle down at 170, and we're going to bring the heading knob now round so we intercept our magenta line as we've done previously. We've got some sort of warning here, so what's that about? Yaw damper, right. Yaw damper on. There we go. Okay, so let's do the heading knob. So going to bring it round so it intercepts the magenta line. Heading knob I'm looking at is on the primary flight display here. And keep it coming round. Oops, I've clicked it instead. How silly is that? And we'll bring it round to about 300. Keep it going, keep it going, keep it going. Maybe a bit more actually. Let's go round to about 320. There we go. Okay, so all looking good. Climbing at a huge rate, 4,000 feet per minute. There we go, and we're just going to intercept that magenta line. You can zoom in and out of the map by using this button here. Put your cursor over it and just use the wheel on your mouse. There we go. Okay, and it's quite clear the weather today, so we're going to let them out of their seats at 10,000 feet, and I'm just going to lessen that angle. Just going to bring it around another 10 degrees like that. Okay, reduce that angle, should have said. Okay, so we're 9,600. We're above the transitional level, so I'm going to change it now to standard by pressing the barometer button. Just click it. There we go, 1013 set. And there comes the magenta line. Press the nav button. Okay, and just check whatever you click up here is shown here. Now, the one thing I don't like about this is that it doesn't tell you what the modes are that you got selected. The Mustang has a little LED that comes up. On this one, it's shown here. Okay, now there's a design philosophy that is deliberate, and what they say is that by doing that, it forces you to make sure that whatever you've adjusted up here is correct here. Okay, I guess that's true, but I still like to see the lights here. That's a personal preference. So we're on the FMS track now. I'm going to just click my heading knob just to center the heading bug. Okay, and we're all good. Okay, I'm going to look now down at the and we're above 10,000 feet. So what we can do is aircraft systems. Is it? No. Utilities, is it? Oh no, it was sim options, I think. Sim options. No. Aircraft systems. System controls, there we go. Interior lights. Fasten seatbelts can come off. And we'll just check that the landing light is off, taxi light is off, and recognition, strobe, beacon and nav are on. Okay, so we're good. Climbing like a rocket, look at that. We're now just coasting out over the coast of Elba, North Elba, or West Elba actually. And that's all good. So let's look at the flight plan now. Click home on this. Click flight plan here and scroll down a bit. Okay, so we've got some altitudes. So we get to In Love at 4,000 feet. Then it takes us down to 3,000 feet at MD504, at Bulba 2,000. At this point it's 2,000, and then we got the runway, which is pretty much sea level. So we've got some altitudes. We don't need to dial in any altitudes, but we will, when we get to cruising altitude, make sure that we've got VNAV selected and a lower altitude selected here to show here. Okay, so remember the two things need to happen. One, you've got to have a lower altitude selected in your window, and two, VNAV needs to be on. VNAV button is here. Okay, there's your vertical speed, and there's your flight level change. So we're all good. Now I'm still in takeoff mode. If I bring my throttles back, I should come to max continuous thrust, MCT. Okay, and you can see that clearly written on the throttle quadrant, MCT and MCT here. Okay, that's pretty cool, isn't it? That works. Lovely. So, do I prefer this over the Mustang? Well, I think the Mustang is a lovely aircraft. You don't go anywhere particularly fast, but it's safe, it's easy to fly, and the visibility is fabulous. But we haven't looked out the window yet, okay, on this, because this is a serious get places aeroplane, okay? So if we do look out the window, the view's okay, but the moment you try and look at your wing, you can't, okay? But if you're in VR, I guess you could. And I think probably overall it is a considerably better aircraft than the older Sunblind. It's a much better aircraft, really. It's more rounded, a better product, I think. So we've got a headwind of about 54 knots, okay, and this is a much faster aircraft. It's got 2 times 2,000 foot-pounds of thrust, so that's a lot more than the Mustang. So I'll let the speed build, but we've got a headwind of 50 knots. That's going to affect our ground speed, which is shown here. I'll let the speed build, and then I'll bring the throttles back to a sensible amount. So we're at 24,000. I don't know when our top of descent will be, so I'm going to dial in the lower altitude now. I'm going to dial in 2,000 because that's the final altitude in the approach. If you remember, it took us down to 4,000, then to 3,000, then to 2,000. I'm going to dial in 2,000. I mean, I'm learning really on this. I haven't really flown it much, but I know that it's an accomplished aircraft, and it is really better than the Mustang. If the Mustang was fully functional, I would like it more, but I bought this first, then the Mustang, because the Mustang I've got a big soft spot for. It's just an aircraft I like a great deal. Oxygen is here, is that? Yes, it's switched on. Good. So 250 knots, I think that's good. We're just going to bring the power back now, and we're going to use the little magenta line that appears here just to help us set our power. And it's just still building a bit, but I think it will settle down a little bit. Okay, and see, even with a 50 knot headwind, our ground speed is still about the same as the Mustang at full whack. So let's have a look. Let's have a look. See if we can see a top of descent. Current VNAV profile. What does it say? Time to top of descent 4 minutes. So it looks like VNAV will work, which is good. It should work. Let's see why it shouldn't. Just making sure our speed is okay, and it is. Okay, so all is good. Got a few buttons down here. This is engine anti-ice. You've got trim panel here, fuel cross feeds, ice protection, windshield heat, and pneumatics, whatever they are. And they all seem to be clickable, which is nice. Whatever they do. So it is a good product, really. And I guess if you were a passenger in this or in the real world, you'd think, yeah, I don't really care what it looks like. Wow, it's nice. Wow, it's fast. Wow, it's smooth. Wow, it's quiet. And you've got an angle of attack indicator here, which is quite useful because if you're going too low and slow, this will go up into the red, and you should get the stick shaker. Okay, so this aircraft can fly 1,550 nautical miles, and it can carry 1,400 kilos of fuel. So it's significantly more than the Mustang. Alright, so where is our top of descent? 2 minutes 34. See if there's a big arrow out there. No, there isn't. That's Corsica, French island of Corsica. You've flown there in the Airbus. I don't know if you remember doing that. The airport was somewhere down here, on the southwestern side of the island. So our cruise speed is diminishing now, so I need to give it a little bit more power. So let's go up to about 80 on the power. Now, I think the vertical profile is just coming online now. So, yeah, there's a little dot there. I'm not quite sure what its job is. 1 minute. Oh, no, maybe not. Oh, that's a prediction thing for the altitude. That's interesting. Okay. So is it difficult to use? No, not really. It's about the same. And all of this here and these here are operated very much like the GTN, and it's all built in. It's all part of this aircraft. And it's pretty comprehensive, and you do get to see your passengers as well on the back. They are there in physical form. Right, 50 seconds away from our top of descent. Is it shown on this? It's not actually shown on there, is it? No, that's interesting. I would have thought it was, but it's not. But anyway, it gives you a countdown to it. I'm hoping it'll work. Let's find out. Ah, VNAV. Got to switch VNAV on. VNAV. Ooh. Sorry, that was my bad. There we go. Maybe it will show top descent now. Who knows? I'm not an expert. It's only about the second or third time I've flown it. Three, two, one. There we go. Right, so we are descending. I'm going to pull the power back. I'm looking at the prediction here just to help me set the power. Okay, we'll say about 250 knots. That looks good. Okay. So let's go to the second touchscreen controller, I think they're called. Aircraft systems. Controls, no. We want to go to sim options. Sim actions, is it? No. Manual, no. Load manager. Go to initialization, is that the one? I should have accepted that maybe. I don't know. Utilities. No. Timers. What? Performance, there we go, that's what I'm looking for. Speed bugs and VNAV. So weight and fuel, speed bugs. And we go to landing page. And then we do get from sim. All on. So it tells us that our approach speed is 110. Our reference speed over the numbers of the runway 105. Okay. And they should be marked on here as well. There you go, V approach, VREF. So what can we see out the window? Not a lot. Water, water everywhere. But the view is okay, really. It's not horrendous. And the view out the front is, I mean, it's like a modern car, isn't it? They've got these big, thick pillars. And the Mustang didn't have this. It had a beautiful view. So, yeah, it's a tough choice. But just in terms of value for money, this is 20 euros or 21 or something like that. And the Mustang is 25, 26 euros. So, you know, heck, this is a better product. I don't think there's any doubt about it. But, you know, we all like the Mustang. And we do. What I'm going to do, I'm just going to be a bit cheeky and go into super speed mode, sim rate, shift control plus sign. I'm now running the sim at twice the speed it should be, okay, just so we get this part of the flight done and dusted in you know, much quicker than in real time. And because of that, I'm going to get the passenger strapped in. So let's try and find aircraft systems, is it? Interior lights, fasten seatbelts. Bing! Okay. This part of the screen here is called a vertical profile, and it shows you where the aircraft is going to get you, what altitude you're going to get to a certain waypoint, and this zooms in with the map zoom. It is quite handy because it will also show terrain contours, so if there's mountains and stuff you'll see them. In this as well, if we go to the home page, you've got a traffic screen which is on standby. Why is it on standby? I don't know. TCAS on standby. Oh, we can sort that out. TCAS, altitude reporting. On. TCAS on standby. Altitude, no, that's correct. Altitude reporting. I don't know. Setup. Avionics setup. MFD. To be honest, I don't know. I'm not going to lose sleep over it. And then we've also got a weather radar here. Of course, there's no weather there's no bad weather today, so not going to show, not going to return anything. And we've got charts, but I haven't set that up, so I can link this to my Navigraph chart, so I could have, if I bring in my Navigraph screen, here is the RNAV approach into Cannes de Lirj, and I could actually have this chart shown here, but I haven't set that up. Okay, so traffic, how do you do traffic? It's got traffic here. No, go PFD settings, other settings. No, let's go PFD settings, altitude overlay, synthetic terrain. Nope. Back. Okay, how do you get traffic? Ah, our speed is a bit fast, so we're just going to bring the power back. I'm going to get the map back on as well. Get the map, there we go. Okay. I need to press my heading knob just to center the heading bug and traffic. How do you set that switch on? Utilities, setup, avionics. Don't know. Okay, so what's happened here? Go back to map. We've come off the route. Okay. I'm still in accelerated mode, so let's come off accelerated mode. Yeah. I'm sure it'll pick up the magenta line again in a second. Aircraft systems. There you go, so it's on FMS, so it should pick up this heading now. Yeah, there it goes. So I think that's just because I had it on accelerated speed, which is fair to use at altitude, I think. Curious about the traffic now. I've got to scan that apparently. Let me do that now. Scan. Where's my camera? Okay, so I'm going to just send myself the link to that. Email. Okay. So back to the aircraft, we're at 4,000 feet. I'm going to center the heading bug. We're still on VNAV mode and it's active now. It's green. Let's get the status page back on this. Home. Status. So there's a full video tutorial and a full written manual on this as well. I wonder if you can download it. I'm going to do a quick search for yeah, and it's got a full written. Oops, speed. 250 knots. Below 10,000. But we are coming from Italy, so I think you're allowed. How do you get to search? Maybe it's just control F. So traffic. Okay, so coming up to top of descent shortly. Yeah. And maybe it's because I haven't got any traffic. But there is traffic around though, isn't there? It says TCAS is on standby. TCAS is not on standby. TCAS is actually live. Altitude. Let's do on. Let's do TA only. TA only. Don't know. I really don't know. Well, if I inject some live traffic into the sim, let's see if that works. Where's other apps? Traffic. There we go. Let's see what happens. Centre heading knob. Coming up to top of descent. So I'm just going to reduce speed now to about 160 or something. Seems like a safe speed. Okay, so top descent. There we go. Okay, I'm going to put the local pressure on 1019. Okay, so we're now turning onto our final approach course. Yeah, white line here. Runway will be ahead of us. We're descending now to 2,000 feet. 160 or so on the speed. A little bit of fog there, look. See that? Okay. So we're going to get one stage of flap out. And the runway is in there somewhere. So we're nearly at 2,000. Okay, speed about 140. Don't want to go too low. Okay. That's Saint-Tropez all the way down there, I think. Lovely. Amazing. Okay, so gear can come down. And we're going to go into approach mode. As this little diamond comes down, the aircraft should start to descend. On there. Press the heading knob. Okay.
2,000.
There's the runway there. Just going to zoom in on the map a bit. Okay. So we should start to descend, but I'm ready to take over in case it doesn't. There we go. Come on. You can do it. There we go. Okay. And now full flap. So there's our VREF, our approach speed. There is our, the approach speed, and there's our VREF, which is our speed over the runway. Okay. Landing light is on. And we're all good. It's truly amazing. This, I used to live there, just there, in there. Okay. Okay, and 1,000 feet. I'm happy with that. Autopilot can come off. Yaw damper can come off. There we go.
1,000.
And I'm just going to hand fly it now. Okay. So, looking at the lights here. Got displaced thresholds. We don't touch down on that bit. So we're a bit high because they're all white. What we're looking for is 2 white, 2 red. Used to live just there. So 2 white, 2 red, looking good. Maybe just a touch fast on the speed. Okay.
200.
So speed is looking good now. Pretty much on our approach speed.
100. 50, 40, 30, 20.
Okay, I'm retarding the
10,
throttles,
5.
holding that centre line and letting it settle gently. There we go. Speed brake out, and I'm using the brakes to slow down. Okay, that is how you do that. So, speed brakes in, just going to let it roll to the end of the runway. Notice our landing light is on, and our strobe light is still on. I'll come off the runway here, and they should switch off. Right, so let's go right here. Look at that. So landing light is off, strobe light is off. It's pretty good, isn't it, really? Okay, so flaps coming up, and I'll work on that traffic. I don't know why. Let's have a look, see if that TCAS is working now. Back to the home page, traffic page. TCAS is on standby. Well, it is now because we're on the ground. Yeah, of course. I need to read up on that. Okay, so that's your introduction to the Honda Jet. Hope you found it interesting and useful, and hope it gives you food for thought, because of course, you know, 20 quid is 20 quid and you don't want to get the wrong aeroplane. I just love the Mustang. I just because it was the first bizjet I ever had in a flight sim, got a big soft spot for it. But you know, I know that that product will get better, but it falls really short in comparison to this product, and I think that's been evident. Okay, so we're going to just park on the next block, I think. Yeah, go to this one. And we're going to park here where the van is. Number 33, I think. Oh, he's parked right on top of the spot. Honestly, French worse than Italians. I'm gonna hoot him. Right, parking brake coming on. And you just roll the throttles back to 0 to cut the engines. And what we can do, we can go to interior lights, fasten seat belt, home button, sim options, sim actions, open the main door, open the cargo doors, and let's just have a quick look. There we go. Are the engines winding down? Yes, they are. Hope you've enjoyed it. Right, take care.